Okay, question 1. Which expression is equivalent to the given expression? This one. We need to find which expression of the answer choices is similar or equivalent to that one. The way you do this one with the calculator, because there's no equal sign, we're going to use a define. So whatever letter they use in this letter N, we're going to define it as 5. And we're going to enter this expression in the calculator and see how much give the answer. And then whatever answer it is, we have to match it with one of the answer choices. So let's go to the calculator screen and Ctrl N, add a calculator, and the letter is N, Control define, and we're going to put it 5. Now you're going to enter, okay, 3n squared minus 5n, the expression exactly as it appears, plus 7 minus parentheses n squared plus n minus 7. And you close the parentheses, it's already closed, enter. That gives me a 34. Now, which of the answer choices is equivalent to it? Okay, let's try the first one. 2n squared minus 4n. Is that equivalent to 34? No, it's 30. Let's try the next one. 2n squared minus 4n plus 14. Is that equivalent to it? No. Let's try the next one. 2n squared, you get the idea, minus 6n. Is that equivalent to it? No. And the last one, 2n squared minus 6n plus 14, and that is equal to 34. So the answer is this one. This expression is equivalent to the expression that we put initially, which is the question. Okay, so we go to the answer choice, and it's going to be D for this answer. Okay. Now the next question is also asking you which function is equivalent to the function given. Now we agreed in class, once you have equal sign, automatically you're going to use the graph. So let's try the graph now. Control N, add a graph, because now it's a function. Now the function is 2x squared, so you're going to type it. 2x squared minus 7x plus 3. And that is the function that is given to us. Now this is how the function looks like. It's a quadratic, and you're going to press tab, and you're going to put the answers as it is. So the first answer choice is x minus 3. So x minus 3. Make sure you have the parentheses. Exit the parentheses. Enter another parentheses. 2x plus 1. Is this graph equivalent to it? So this graph, the first answer choice, is way off. Is not the same as the blue. So let's try another one. Tap. And instead of typing another one, we go up and we input another function here. So delete. And let's input the second answer choice, which is 2x minus 1. Just to save yourself some time. And you don't want to draw them all together one by one. You'll be okay. X minus 3. And is this equivalent to it? You'll notice now the red on top of the blue. If you do tap, you notice the red is on top of the blue. So that is the answer equivalent to it. So this is the answer choice. 2x minus 1, x minus 3. 2x minus 1, x minus 3. Exactly equivalent to it. You can use a define if you like to, by typing this one, x define 5. You can do that as well, and that should give you the same answer. Whatever number you get here, you're going to match it with the numbers of these, and you're going to match it. This is matching to this. So you can use the define in this one. Now the third question. Now this is one letter, there's no equal sign, so the method we're going to use is define. So we're going to define x as 5. And you're going to type this one, and whatever answer gives you the same answer, that'll be it. So let's try over. Control N. And we're going to go to the calculator now. I'm going to put x defined as 5. I'm going to input the expression that's given to us. It's control divide because it's a fraction. There's parentheses, so parentheses, x to the power of 3, bring it down, times x to the power of 2, bring it outside, to the power of 6, all the way divided by x to the power of 17. And that gives you this answer. Now, which of the answer choices? Is it x to the power of 19? Let's try it out. X to the power of 19. That's not the answer. X to the power of 53. And that's way off. The answer is 12207. So x to the power of 13. Okay, that is the match. 12207, 12207, and that's answer equivalent to it. So x13 is equivalent to this expression. You go back, so the answer is x to the 13. Now to the next question. Now, which expression is equivalent to this? But you notice there's x and there's y. So now we have to define two letters. So the first letter is define it as 5. The second one is define it as 6. And the same procedure, you type and you look for the expression that is equivalent to it. So let's try it in the calculator. Control N again. Don't save, add calculator. And the first thing, we need to define the letters. So x defined as 5, y defined as 6. And now you can input the expression, parentheses, x to the power of -4, bring it down, times y to the power of nothing, so just leave it, then to the power of 3. Now this is equal to 216 over this number. Now which answer choice is equal to it? Well, control divide. Let's try the first answer. Y to the power 3 divided by x to the 12. So is this equivalent to it? Oh, that is equivalent. So it is the first answer choice. Just got lucky here. So that is the first answer choice that's matching with this answer. Now the same thing works for the next question. So we'll see the next question now. If you have 3 letters, A, B, and C, or X, Y, and Z, it doesn't really matter which expression is equivalent. So we're going to define the A as 5, and B as 6, C as 7. And we're going to type the expression and whichever equivalent to it. So go to the calculator. Again, the step is Control N. Add calculator. We said A is 5, so A is defined as 5. B is defined as 6. C is defined as 7. And now you get to type the expression, which is parentheses, A to the power 3, bring it down, times B to the power of -2, and times C to the power of nothing, so just delete it. And then outside there is to the power of 2, or squared. Now this is give you this answer. Now which answer choice is it? So let's try it. The first answer, control divide, A to the 6, bring it down, times C squared over B to the 4. This answer equivalent to it. Let's see. Oh, came out again. We're lucky again that this expression is equivalent to this because the numbers are exactly equal. So that answer is the first one. If not, you're going to keep trying until you get the answer. Now the next question. There's an equal sign here. So that's automatically should be in the graph. So this is the function we're going to graph. and they're asking us to find f of 2. But you notice that f of x is a function, and inside the parentheses there's x. That means the 2 here is the x. So they want you to find if x equal 2, what is f of x, f of 2, this number right here. So that tells me that I have to go graph this function and go to the table by clicking Ctrl and T. So it's pretty simple. So I'm going to go ahead to the calculator, and the first step, like we always do, Ctrl N, add a graph, and the function is 4 parentheses 1 minus, this is the minus, not this one, x, and all to the power of 2, and then bring it down, plus 7. So this is the function that is graphed. You might not see the graph, but it is there. If you zoom out, you will see it. Ctrl T, and when x is 2, you see that x is 2. What is f of x? Is 11. So that's the answer. 2 goes with 11. So we'll go right here, and we put 11. You started from the second one, so it's positive. The first one is for the sign, and then you put 11. And that's it for this one. The next one is asking about the solution, but again, there's an equal sign. What are you going to do with the equal sign? We're going to graph. But the idea in this one, we're going to graph the left side, and we're going to press tab and graph the next one. We're going to switch the k to x because we cannot graph k. And we're going to find where they cross. And the first number would be the solution. Okay? So let's try to do that. Ctrl N, add graph. And the first function is 3k minus 4, which is 3x minus 4. Enter, not 44, 4. And tab. And the next one is 6 minus 4 parentheses x minus 1. Now when you graph them both, they're going to intersect. To find the intersection, we click Menu, 6 and 4, the intersection. And you click somewhere in the screen, and then you go until you find the intersection. And the first number is the answer. So that answer is x equal 2. In this case, in the question, k is equal to positive 2. So positive 2. Okay, the next question. What is the value of x, or which value of x is a solution to the equation? There's multiple ways to do this, but let's stick with what we know. There's an equal sign. So what are we going to do with the equal sign? We're going to graph. Again, like we said earlier, we're going to graph this one, tab, and graph this one. Yes, I know it's just a 0, but it doesn't matter. Graph it. And then you do menu 64. So let's do that. So go Control N, add graph, and let's see, 2x squared plus x minus 136. Enter. And then tab, and we're going to graph the second side, which is 0. And now we do menu 64 to find the intersection. So you click whenever you want, and then go to this one. So the answer is negative 8.5. And there's another one, so we have to do again menu 64 and find the next intersection. So these are the answers, negative 8.5 and 8. So whichever have the answer choice has one of these will be the answer. So as you can see, x is 8 would be the answer. Okay? Now the next question. The graph of the linear function. So you're giving a linear graph, and which of these answer choices is the graph? So pretty easy. Graph each equation because it has equal sign, right? So you're going to graph it and match. Whichever looks like this one would be the answer. Okay? So let's see which one is it. Control N, add graph, and the first answer choice was negative 3x minus 5. And if you look carefully, this does kind of look like the graph going down, but it's not crossing at 5, it's crossing at negative 5. So that's an out one, is not it. Tab. The next one is 3x plus 5. And that's not it because that one's going up. Tab, negative 3x plus 5. Is that the function that looks like the graph? Yes, it is. Because if you look carefully, this is going down and it's crossing right here at 5. So that would be the answer. So negative 3x plus 5. So this is matching the graph because it's crossing at 5 right here. And between the 1 and 2 in this one. So if you check the graph again, between 1 and 2 here, and this is 5. Same thing for the next one. Now the graph of quadratic function. So quadratic means the U-shaped function, right? So you're going to graph one by one and see which one looks like this one. So let's see. Just graph and match. Let's graph the first one. Is it the first one? Negative x squared plus 6x minus 1. Is it this one? No. This is facing down, and that one is like right here. So that's not it. Tap, and let's graph it or delete this one and graph the next one. Is it x squared plus 6x minus 1? I think this is the one. That looks like it. You see? If you want to double check that it is that one, not just by looking at the graph, you can see that this one is crossing right here. Negative 3 goes with negative 10. So you can double check the table. Ctrl T. And if you go up, the negative 3, that goes with negative 10. So it's exactly similar to the graph that's shown. You can pick another point, like 0 goes with negative 1, does it? Go to the graph, 0 goes with negative 1 right here. That's actually the exact graph. So it is this one. So graph and match and Ctrl T if needed. The next question, exponential function, but the same thing. You're going to match which equation matches the graph. And you're going to notice the 1 goes with 20. So if you want to check the table, the 1 goes with 20, the 2 goes with 40. 2, 3 points, that would be 0 goes with 10, and so on. So you're going to check which one gives you that. And it's going up, so it's growth. So let's see which one gives me that. The first answer choice, Control N, and graph, and let's graph the first one. 10, parentheses, 1/2 to the power of x. Don't forget it has to the power of x. The functions have to the power of x because it's exponential. First of all, that's not even close because that one is going down. It's decay, so it's not it. Is it 2? And then 10 to the power of x. 2 parentheses, 10 to the power of x. Well, it might be it because that's going up, and the graph that we have here is going up as well. But let's check the point. Does the 1 go with 20? Does the 2 goes with 40? Let's see. Control T. Does the 1 goes with 20? Oh yeah. Does the 2 goes with 40? No, the 2 goes with 200. So that's way off because my 2 goes with 40. So that could be it, but it's not. So you have to check a couple of points. Could it be the second one or the third one? Let's see. Control T, get rid of the table. Control N, and add graph. The third answer choice is 2 parentheses 1/10. And you're going to notice that, don't forget the exponent as well. Sometimes I do. Don't be that. Okay, to the power of x, that's not it. That's decay. And Control N, add graph. It's the last one, 10 parentheses 2 to the power of x. Because the number in the middle is bigger than 1, it has to be growth. And it is growth, right? But let's check the point. Control T. Does 1 goes with 20? Yes. Does 2 goes with 40? Yes. Does the 0 goes with 10? Yes. So you check a couple of points and you match them. Now you might say, well, how does the graph look like it? Well, if you zoom out, menu 44, you're going to notice that it does escape, it does kind of look like it. That one is, if you track it, menu 5-1, that point, it's, you click on the 0, 0 goes with 10, and that's the y-intercept. Okay, so double check the point and the table if you need. And that's it for this one. The next question, you're going to graph and you're going to see which system of equation, which of these two equations or couple of equations, they call system equations, matches the graph shown. Now notice the graph crosses right here at -1, 6. So they both have the -1, 6, -1, 6, and that is called the intersection, right? And that's a solution. Okay, -1, 6. And if you notice also that the graphs are crossing, so -1, 6 is the intersection. This one is crossing at 8, this one is crossing at 3. So notice these points because they're going to be close from each other, the graph. So let's try, is it the first one? So you're going to graph 2 at a time and compare. So is it the first one? Well, 3x plus 3, that's the first one. I'm going to graph the second one, which is 2x plus 8, 2x plus 8. And you're going to see, does these look like, if you want to zoom out so you can see it better, menu 44, does this look like or anything closer to this one? No, this is crossing here somewhere in -1, 6, and this is crossing right here. So this is way off. So this is not the first choice. So Ctrl N, add graph. We're going to enter the second one, -2x plus 8, and tab 3x plus 3. Are these the answers? Well, no, because this one's crossing on 1 and 6, but my other one was crossing on -1 and 6. So it's close, but it's not it. So Ctrl N, let's graph the third answer. Third answer says 2x plus 8. Notice plus 8, that's the y-intercept. And tab -3x plus 3, -3x plus 3, and that's the y-intercept right here. And if you notice, it's actually crossing at -1 and 6. To find the intersection, you put menu 6, 4, and you're going to find the intersection is actually -1, 6. So that exactly matching the graph that's given. If you have a look at it again, so this matches exactly with this, and they cross at -1, 6. This is 8 right here, and this is right here 3. So that is for the system of equations. So that answer is C. The next question is graphing inequality. This one you don't need a calculator for. It's basically two things you need to pay attention to. This line right here, is it solid or dotted? So solid means continuous like this, or dotted means like dashed like that. So this one, obviously it's solid, so it must have an equal sign underneath it. So just by knowing that, it's not A and it's not D. It has to have an equal sign. So if the line is like solid, it must have an equal sign. If the line is like dotted like this, I'll take out the B and C. Now, this symbol means less. This symbol means greater. This symbol right here, sorry, less or equal. And this is greater or equal. Now, look at the shade. The shade area right here. Are they bigger than 5, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Are they bigger than 5, the shade, or less than 5? As you can notice, the shade is bigger than 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. So which one says bigger? It is the one with the greater. So you didn't need a graphing calculator for this. So greater than 5, right? Right here is greater than 5, so it's shaded above. And you can say, okay, this is greater, so you're going to shade above. If it's less, you're going to shade the bottom. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And this is the question that came in the STAR 2019. You can review it and look it up and try to answer the questions. The next one, which order pair is in the solution set? So this is an inequality, and we need to find which one of these pairs are in, or is in the solution set of this inequality. Basically, which point, x and y, would give you a true. That's what it means. Let me show you what that means. If I say my first point is the answer, if I say this is the correct answer, that means if I replace the y with 5 and I replace the x with -8, this statement should be true. So let's test it. Is 5 less than 1/2 times -8 minus 8? Is it true or false? So you type this in the calculator, not the graph, the calculator. So go Ctrl N, add the calculator, and you're going to say is 8 or 5, Control equal, choose the less, Control divide 1/2, parentheses, -8 minus 8, is that true? You're going to notice that this is false. So that means my first one is actually wrong. It's not in the solution because it gives me false. So this is false. Could it be the second one? Well, the first number is x, the second one is y. So that means if I replace the y with 3 and the x with 24, and I test it, it should give me true. So let's try it. So I go to the calculator, I put 3, Control equal, choose the less, 1/2, and then parentheses, 24, and then minus 8, that's from the equation. This came out to be true. So that means the answer 3, 24 and 3, it is true. So that's the answer. So this point is in the solution set of this inequality. Okay, so this is how you do it. And the calculator, true and false. The next question is, which inequality represent the domain and range, the domain of the linear segment shown? The domain is the x, or are the x values. So just remember that the domain is x. So that means I cannot gonna read any number off the y. So scratch off all the y numbers. I'm not gonna read any number off the y. So the y, no. The y, no. So it's either B or C. Which one is it, B or C? Now you look at the endpoints. What is the x value for this point? It's pointing at -3. And what's the x value for this one? It's pointing at 7. So the domain is -3 to 7. That's not the -2 to 8, -3 to 7. Now these little dots, if it's solid, that means it has equal sign. If it's open, that means it doesn't have the equal sign. So that satisfies both conditions. So this is the answer. So the domain is x. Now the next one, asking about the range. So what is the range for this exponential function, the range? The range are the y values. So that means you're going to scratch out all the x numbers. I'm not going to give me any x numbers. Scratch them out. I don't want x, I want y. So what are the y values for this point? Well, this point right here is 3. So the y has to be 3. Not x for sure, and it's not -3 because we're not going to read numbers off the x. So y is greater than 3. And the reason it's greater because the numbers are going up on the y. And notice that this one doesn't have equal sign, so that one doesn't have equal sign. If it was solid, it would have an equal sign, but this one is open, so no equal sign. So that's the answer for this one. So the range are the y values. The next question is on linear function. Find the rate of change, or what is the rate of change of the linear? And we've done this at the beginning of the 2 weeks. We said subtract, subtract, divide. You're going to subtract the y's, x, and divide the y over the x. Okay, so pick any 2 points you want. So I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to pick this one. And you do the math for them. in the calculator, of course. So you're going to say negative 19 minus 23. So negative 19 minus 23, that gives you negative 42. And you're going to subtract. What's 2 minus negative 4? 2 minus negative 4, that's equal to 6. So the answer is negative 42 divided by 6, and that gives you negative 7. So negative, you put it here, and that is 7 right there. Now, it should work if you pick up any 2 points. So try this one. Let's say this one and this one. So let's say negative 82 minus 9. That should give you negative 91. And 11 minus negative 2, that gives you 13. And negative 91 divided by 13 also gives you negative 7. So whichever points you select, it has to be the same answer. Now notice the y's in this direction, and these are the y values. And the x are these values on the top. Okay, so that's the answer for this one. Now the next question is asking me what is the slope, or the same as the rate of change. So the slope is the rate of change, the same name. What is the rate of change of the table shown below? Now the y's are vertical now, they're not horizontally. So you can pick any 2 points on the y, and you're going to subtract. In this case, I picked these two, to 23 minus 16. 23 minus 16, that gives you 7. And 30 minus 20, that is 10. So the division is the y over the x, because the method is subtract, subtract, divide. So the answer is 7 over 10, which is A. The next question asks me also the rate of change, or the slope, of a line that is shown in the graph. So if you see 2 points on the graph, you're going to make the table x and y, because it's comfortable to do it with the table. So x and y, 2 with 5 and negative 2 with negative 7. So what do we do here? You subtract the y's, subtract the x, and divide. So what's negative 7 minus 5? Negative 7 minus 5, that's negative 12. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 minus 2, that gives you negative 4. And negative 12 divided by negative 4, that gives you positive 3. And notice the graph is going positive from left to right, is increasing. So that actually makes sense. The answer has to be positive 3. The next question is a tricky one. What is the zero of the linear graph? Well, the word zero of the linear graph, it means the x-intercept. So the word zero means the x-intercept. So what is the graph crossing the x-axis? That's what the zero means. So these numbers we're giving to distract you, because you automatically will try to do the slope and all that. No, it's asking me about the zero. That means wherever crosses the x-axis, which in this case, negative 4. It's asking me about the zero, so the answer is negative 4. Most students would put the 7. But the 7 in this case, that's where they're crossing the y. So this is called the y-intercept. Okay, so be careful. What does it ask me for? 0 means the x-intercept. The next question would be this one. The table represents some point of an exponential function. And remember, we discussed exponential function, but they give you equations and they give you a table. So that automatically should be graph. Okay, so you're going to graph, and you're going to go Ctrl T. That's the easiest possible way to do it. So let's graph the first one and see if it gives me the table. So go ahead to the graph, and we're going to see which one gives me the answer. So the first equation is 30, parentheses, Control divide, 1 over 5, and don't forget the exponent, that's why it's called exponential, power of x. Could that be the answer? Well, I don't know. I don't have a graph. I have a table of points. So Control T, and you're going to notice that 0 goes with 30, 1 goes with 6, 2 goes with 1.2. If you compare these to the graph, to the table, 0 goes with 30, 1 goes with 6, 2 goes with 1.2, and so on. So that is actually the correct equation. And you're going to notice that the first number, 30, is the y-intercept. And the 1/5 means you divide by 5 every single time. So divide by 5, divide by 5, divide by 5, and so on. That's why it's exponential function. So graph and match with the table using Ctrl T. So this is the answer for this table. Now, if they give you an equation and they want the y-intercept, like we said with the definition, the y-intercept is where the graph crossing the y-axis, right? But when it crosses the y-axis, the value of x is actually 0. So if you go to the table, you can look where is 0x, what is the y? And that y is actually the y-intercept. Okay, so they might give you whatever function, and if they ask you about the y-intercept, all what you do is look where the x is 0, and that will give you the answer. So let's graph this equation. Control N, 14, parentheses, 0.5, parentheses, 0.5, and don't forget to the power of x. Because if you forgot, it gives you a whole little different answer. And Control T, I'm looking for the x equals 0. So you go up, is equal to 14. And no surprise, because if you know exponential function, the answer is positive 14. If you know an exponential function, the first number right here on the exponential function is called the y-intercept. So this number is the y-intercept, and this number right here, it's the decay factor because it's less than 1. Okay, and this is the y-intercept. You don't need to know that because you have the graphing calculator. You graph it and you look for the x equals 0, and the y is the y-intercept. The next question. Now this is a concept question. What is the maximum? The maximum of the graph. The maximum is where it hits the most, or where on the top. So this is the maximum point. But what's the maximum value? The maximum it reaches is on the y, so it's positive 8. That is the maximum or the highest it can reach. Okay. The next question, what is the equation of the axis of symmetry? Axis of symmetry is the line that cut it in half. So right here, this line right here cuts the graph in half. See how it's symmetrical? Like this point right here is 3 units from here and 3 units from here, you get another point. So it's very symmetrical around x equals 3. So the equation is x equals 3. So axis of symmetry is always equal to x. And whatever the x crosses, the axis of symmetry, the line in the middle, that'll be the answer. So x equals 3 is the axis of symmetry. The next question also asking you about the solutions 0 or the x-intercept. These are words that is similar to the x-intercept. So you can say solutions, you can say zeros, it means the x-intercept. So where does the graph crossing the x-intercept? You're gonna say, well, it's not even crossing, it's actually touching the -3 and it bounces back. So if it's coming from here, it's coming back up. It's like throwing a ball on the ground, touches the ground and go back up. That's considered a solution or a 0. So the actual 0 is -3, only -3, because they're asking about that exact point. -3 is the only answer for this, or the only solution for it. Okay, so be careful. The next one asking me about direct variation. If x varies with y, directly with y, of course, the keyword you're looking for. If y is 14 when x is 6, so organize the letters like that. Y is 14, x is 6. What is the value of y? So I don't know the value of y. That gives me x is 9. So you notice the x is under the x and the y under the y. And in this case, once you arrange them, you're going to cross multiply. Multiply across and divide what gives you the question mark. So 14 times 9 divided by 6. So 14 times 9 is 126 divided by 6. That gives you the answer, 21. So you put it 21 positive. The next question is, which table shows y as a function of x? Now the rule is, if x repeats, only the x, I don't care about the y, it's not a function. So in this case, you can look at the x only. The x3 and the x3, they are repeating, so this is not a function. Okay, if the x repeat, that's not a function. x6, 7, 8, 9, the x is not repeating, so this is a function. Look at the x here, -1 and -1, they repeat, that's not a function. And the x repeat here, the 1 and the 1, that's not a function. So which one is a function would be the one without repeating. It's the second answer choice. And the last question is, which expression is equivalent to the given square root? So all you do, you go to the calculator, Ctrl N, and you go calculate, not the graph, calculate 4 square root of 50. And that gives you an answer of 28.2843. Now, see the answer choices. The first one is 10, and then square root of 3. Is that equivalent to it? That's not even close. The next one is 20, square root of 2. Is this equivalent? Yes, 28, so that's the answer. So 20 square root of 2 would be equivalent to 4 square root of 50. So that is the answer, because 28 for both of them. Okay, so that concludes the review, our practice. Good luck tomorrow, and take your time, try your best. And if you do these questions and you understand every single question on them, you'll be okay. The 2 weeks is not very long to teach you everything, but I taught you the most you can in these 2 weeks to pass and even get a master level. So like I said, try your best, and you got this. Best of luck.